This sounds like a throwdown right here.
I mean, it does.
Um,
Sounds like you're all ready to go. Throw some punches.
well, we haven't done a recording in a few days, so I'm kind of eager to get to it, Jeff. And so, what's going on up there in Napa Valley, California today?
Wow, it's like day four in a row where we've got some sunshine and it's beautiful. It's not windy. It's just it's a classic, beautiful Napa spring day. Trees are starting to bloom. I can look across the yard there and see the peach tree, the pink blossoms. So it's I feel like the mole coming out of the ground. I'm squinting a little bit because it's bright outside and
Right. Going, I haven't slept that well in years.
yeah,
Right.
it's a long winter hibernation. You know?
Yes.
Anyway, so and how's it down there in the desert
Oh,
today?
we're gonna have a good one here today. I was in the gym this morning. Came out and it just felt warm. So it's gonna hit low 80s today. So I'm gonna go out this afternoon and go out in the
Nice.
grass courts, hit some serves, hit a basket of serves, bucket of serves, do some running, do some sprints, do all my stuff out there, stretching.
Iron Man.
So not really, just it's just it's just with
Yeah, not really.
with the weather like this, it's kind of tough to let the opportunity go by. So, hey, I got something I want to talk about today, and we've not chatted about this, but at least before we started the recording, I think we did talk a little bit about it last week when I was in Houston. But one of the things that I think players get frustrated with is that when they're really diligent and they're really committed to a practice plan, I don't want to call it an improvement plan, but really when
Right.
they're sort of on the path of and there's some lofty goal out there, whatever it is, and the goal could be as simply as rather than making a number, rather than saying, well, I want to go to 3.5 to 4.0, or I want to go from 4.0 to some other number. It's just I just want to get the most out of myself, right? I just want to do the best that I possibly can do within a certain time frame. And there's that kind of that goal, but the goal is kind of a vision of, hey, I want to be playing kind of more like this. So if the forehand's been a little messy, I want to clean it up so that this is happening, and maybe they're modeling someone else. But I think what happens is you make the commitment to go to work on this stuff, and the first week, you're fired up. You're absolutely
Yeah, it's
fired
the
up.
honeymoon.
And it's
It's
the
honeymoon, baby.
right? And then all of a sudden, it's kind of like losing weight, right? Where like the first week you've decided, well, you know what, I'm going to drop some weight here, and the first week, boom, there's tangible evidence because the scale is going, well, you're 2 pounds less than you were yesterday. Nice
Right.
going. And then after a week or so, all of a sudden, you're still working the same way, right? You're still working out. You're still doing the same cardio, whatever it is, or you're still on the ball machine working the forehand. And the next thing you know is you hit the classic plateau. And the plateau gets frustrating because you're working just as hard as you were before. If not harder, because now all of a sudden
Right.
you've been on this plateau now, let's say for a week, and there's no tangible evidence that you're actually getting better.
Right.
And so I mentioned this book to you, I think it was last week. We were doing a recording by George Leonard, the very small book, which I said, this is a book that you can read, Jeff. It's called Mastery, and I've been singing his praises for a long time. But one of the great things in Mastery by George Leonard is that it's the reality of the learning curve. And we're hoping that the learning curve is a tangible but gradual, but very tangible, I can see improvement every day.
Right.
Or I can see improvement every 2 days. And that's not how it works. I mean, we go up for a week, and then the next thing you know is we might not even plateau. We might come down a hair.
Yeah.
And people,
easily.
and players start to panic, right? Now all of a sudden they play a match and they can't find the forehand that they've been working on, that they've had results on. And so it's a little panic time. And it's sort of time to go, well, maybe this isn't working.
Right.
And I think a lot of players get into that mindset of, all right, I've committed to a style of play, or I've committed to a style of technique, and they try it, and it's like, you just like you said, there's always a honeymoon period, right? You try
Right.
something, and then all of a sudden it either flatlines or you start to take a dip, and the George Leonard thing, mastery, is that's normal. You're
Yeah.
going to find a plateau for a while, or you're actually gonna kind of come down a little bit, and then maybe find a
Yeah.
plateau.
You're going to get both, without a doubt.
Without a doubt. And so, what do you help your students with, or maybe you kind of went through the same thing as a player when you were sort of developing your game, or you were working on something specific where
the question is, how many times did I go through it as a player?
Okay, so
Not once.
all right.
Because how many different layers of the game are there? And every time you touch a different aspect of your game, be it I'm going to tweak the forehand a little bit, and somehow that affects your backhand. I'm going to tweak the volley a little bit, and somehow it throws me off getting back to my overhead. Somehow, blah, blah, blah. And somehow now my serve doesn't feel right. Even though I'm not working on my serve, I'm doing this other thing, right?
Right.
So the ripples in the water that affect everything when you start to really, not scratch the surface, but actually, get underneath the surface and start to dig into it, can be very disheartening, can be very discouraging, frustrating, and makes you question, is the journey worth it? Is this something I should really be, aiming at? And
Right.
I think, that's when, a good encouraging coach, who also can lay out the reality of the journey you're about to embark on. I think we talked a little bit about in a former episode about, I have, new clients. We sit down. What do you want to do? Well, I want to do X, Y, Z. And the reality of that conversation is, do you know what you're asking for? Because it's going to get real, and it's going to get painful.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Well, I just think it's rough. I think that players need to really, and I love to hear you say that you like to sit down and talk about the reality of what you're asking for. And not only is it never a quick fix, ever,
Right.
but it is also, it's not a gradual straight line up on the improvement graph. And
God, I wish it was.
Yeah. And so I want to caution players that first of all, I don't want to caution you. First of all, I want to congratulate you for deciding that there's some part of your game, not the entire game. I mean, you're not all of a sudden going from a baseline pusher to, I'm going to be a crash the board serve and volley guy. I mean, that would be some major surgery right there.
Yeah.
Right? And there could be a lot of frustration. But I want to congratulate you if you've decided there's a part of your game that you really want to work on, and that you've embraced the fact that, it's going to take some practice time, and that it may be a year out there before you actually get this result that you want. But I will also then want to caution you that along the way in that year, there are going to be times when all of a sudden you're here and you go out tomorrow and you're down here.
Right.
Or you're here and then you're stuck at this plateau for a month.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you got to be able to make sure that you just go, well, this is the learning curve. It's up,
Right.
it's down, it's up a little bit, it's down some more, it's a plateau.
It's actually not a curve.
It's like the stock market, man. I mean, it's just not predictable. Yeah. And the one thing I think that players need to realize is that especially when you get on that plateau, it is frustrating because you're working and you're not getting any better. You've got to trust that the next up is just around the corner. And if you stop working, it's not going to happen. Or if you decide, you know what, I got to go to the other pro down the road here because I know he's got, and I've heard from my buddy Ralph, and Ralph says, oh, this guy's got the answer, man. So you got to stick to your guns and And you just got to accept that's how we learn. That's the path.
I mean, some things, yes, we take to quicker than others, but that's still the non-smoothness of it still exists. Even with those things, we end up doing a little faster than others. I think, one of the telltale signs that I discovered in my own evolution, when I got to the point when I couldn't produce what I used to do, I knew I was close. That was a real telltale sign. I discovered that. I wasn't, at first I was frustrated, pissed off, and everything else.
What does that mean? I couldn't produce what I used to. What does that mean?
Means that if I was changing, making a technical shift in my forehand, I couldn't quite remember how I used to hit it.
Oh, I see.
But I also couldn't actually produce what I was aiming at, right? What we were working on. But that in and of itself, that's a watershed moment. You are just, days, weeks, maybe a month away from like this thing, like just getting to the 51%, where now you've got some inertia and things actually start to speed up at that point.
Yeah.
Toward your goal. You actually start to accelerate toward your goal rather than feeling like you're climbing uphill away from the old. There's this, like I said, there's this tipping point.
Right.
And so for me, that's a telltale sign is when I can't quite feel or can't quite remember exactly how I did it before.
That's good. That's great. Cool.
So I think that's something that, our listeners can kind of look at and understand that it's, I mean, it's just not a smooth ride.
No, it's a test. It's a real test of faith. It's a real test of, to me, it's like it gets into a lot of psychological stuff where you start to find out some things about yourself in terms of, God, do I have the guts to do this?
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, I think someone asked me, with this whole internet thing, they asked me, the story. In the story, I'm not going to go into the story here, but it's a messy ride for probably 10 years. Right. Starting in 1999, where there was just, no one even knew if there was an application for, teaching tennis online. And so it was messy for a while. A lot of people say, well, why didn't you just stop and do something else? And I said, I don't know, man. Maybe I was just too stupid to know when to stop. But it's one of those things where you almost have to do that to where you just keep going. And you just keep believing that I don't really feel the result I want yet. I don't feel it yet. And I'm really not sure I'm on the right path of getting there. But you just gotta say, well, you know what? I'm going to get up tomorrow and just keep working. And I saw Tommy Tucker this morning over in the gym. We had a little chat. Tommy, who's the tennis pro emeritus here at Mission Hills, and
the legend.
Yeah, and every time I see him, he likes to say something, and I say, hey, man, you told me, you gave me the key one time. Just keep working. So to me, that's kind of the advice is just, well, I got two things. First of all, go out and buy George Leonard's book, Mastery. Again, it's a little small one, and it's easy to consume. But I've read that thing probably a dozen times, and I've underlined it. And it's just, I've got a paperback copy of it, and it's just dog-eared here, and it's. But so I would get that, and then I think you definitely need what's the result you want. I think if you say, well, I want a better forehand. I think you can do better. I think you can kind of. Get a little better picture of it. Maybe you have to, don't say you want Rafa's forehand. Please don't say that, okay? Let's go a little more realistic. But if it means that there's some guy on the tour who's got a realistic forehand that you can copy and model, or maybe there's a teaching pro who can demonstrate this thing where it's just cleaner than a whistle.
Right.
Shoot a quick video. Get your phone out. Take a video of that guy. And just see what you can do off the court to rehearse what that thing looks like, what it kind of feels for you, and then just set a path and figuring out, well, I've got to be able to I got a ball machine, I got a drill, I got a wall, I got to rehearse off the court. Maybe I got to hire that guy who can demonstrate the way that I want to do it,
Right.
and then just get the video camera out and just keep
Yeah.
just sort of update it. So
I think well, there's another part of that too, Brenny, and that's this. There's never a convenient time. There's always a match coming up, a league a tournament coming up. It's never convenient. There's never quite enough time before you have to test it under match condition. It's that ride itself is rough, and you know what? You just got to accept it. So I'm gonna throw this quickie story at you too. I mean, because this is like the ultimate in horror, right? So I don't know what year it was, 80 something, 81, playing the finals out in Stockton, the Open. I don't know if I've told this story, but Stockton Open, Men's Open final. I don't know. It's like at the time it was like a $3,000 event or something like that, small event. And playing the finals.
Right? Wasn't it summertime? About 118 out there.
Yeah, out at Oak Park.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for some reason, I liked playing there. I always had good results there, and I just liked it. There was an old guy, I think his name was Zeke, who had the little concession there in the little building, stringing rackets and everything. And Zeke and I always just got along great.
I'm sure Zeke hadn't washed the courts in 10 years, and so your first volley was like, it just picked up dust and just...
Oh, yeah.
It's just
beautiful.
Gone. Yeah.
So I'm having this great match, and we're battling with Dave Shue. Great baller.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where Dave is now, but shout out to you. And we're going at it. We're in the third set, and at 4-all, I play a just brilliant return to serve game, and I think I break him at 15. Again, I'm serving at 5-4. Now, here's the key, is that this previous month leading up to this event, Sherm Stever and I have remastered my serve because it's like we need more pop on it. I need this. We need to make this more of a weapon. Locate all these things. We're making these tweaks. So every time I'm serving, I have to like really quiet the mind and get clear on my start because we changed my start. I mean, it was a project, and things are going great. Okay, I break him, and I get up there ready to serve. At 5-4, there's probably 300 people in the stands, and I stop and I step off the line and then step back in because I can't remember how to start my service motion. It was like I played this just masterful, service break game to get up 5-4, and mentally the tank was dry now. I was just gone, right? So I stepped back off that line probably 2 or 3 times, and eventually I look at the crowd and I go, does anybody have any idea how to hit a serve? And the crowd kind of laughs, and they look at me, and I go on. I lose my serve, and I end up losing the match, 7-5 in the third.
Wow.
So all I'm saying to that is there's never a good time.
No, that's right. I mean, but
you gotta live through it. You gotta do the work, and obviously it worked out. It was fine. The next events and things, everything started to smooth out, and it became the new routine, and everything was fine.
Right.
But it's like it's.
Well, that is. I mean, but that's part of this whole graph of you getting better. Is that you're going to probably have to play some matches in there when you start the commitment to start working on this thing and you've got the result that you want up here. And yeah, you may have to go out and play a match or two where it's not automatic yet. It doesn't feel natural to you yet. And you sort of try to manufacture it, and then the ego gets in the way, and the ego says, well, look, I can't lose to this guy, so I better revert. And then you revert back to what you used to do. And the kiss of death is probably if you revert back and you win the match.
Right.
You then go, well, maybe I really shouldn't be doing this thing. So to me, it would be don't revert. Just accept the fact that this is part of the deal. There's going to be a match or two, whether it's a tournament, whether it's a league thing, whatever it is along the way. And that may be a big dip for a while. That's fine. That's fine. But anyway, well, listen, that's good, Jeff. Good story there, David Shue. Do remember him? Nice player.
Yeah.
So, guys, look, hope you've enjoyed hanging out with us today. We've got an offer for you. It's a free 10-minute coaching call. And you can get on that call. It's just the three of us. It's private. You get on the call by just going over to goalballhunting.com. Drop in a first name and email address, and you'll get access to our online calendar scheduler, where you can cherry pick a date and time that works best for you. And if you're already on the email list, just look at the bottom of any email from us. There's a link that will take you there. And what we ask is that you really start thinking about what's the one thing in your game right now that you'd really want to solve. You really want a different result. Whether it's stroke technique, whether it's strategy and tactics, whether it's mental, whether it's fitness. Oh my gosh, fitness. Whatever it is, there's that one thing that you want a different result. So we'd love to get in the call with you. Short 10-minute call, so bring that thing to the call. And on that, Jeff, we're going to sign out. What's the last thing now we want the fine folks to do today?
Like us, share us, please subscribe, and thank you for pushing us over the 200 mark. And share us. I said share us. Leave a comment below.
There you
Love
go.
to hear what you think.
All right, man. Listen, guys, thanks again for hanging out with us. Come on now. You got to get out there today wherever you are. Help someone else have a great day. Jeff, let's do this again tomorrow.
Can't wait.